Welcome to the Natural Approaches to Osteoporosis and Bone Health Summit. This is the place to gain the knowledge and tools to build and maintain strong, healthy bones throughout life. I'm your host, Margie Bissinger, and in today's talk, we're going to look at osteoporosis from a Chinese perspective because there's so much that we can learn. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today with our special guest, Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. So we're going to call you Dr. Shiroko because that's a little easier. And Dr. Shiroko is a trained general surgeon, acupuncturist, and the author of Healing When It Seems Impossible: 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. She brings hope and healing to difficult conditions by blending Chinese and Western medicine with a deep spiritual and emotional approach. So welcome, Dr. Shiroko.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm really thrilled about this topic because there's so much for everybody to learn from Chinese medicine. So why don't we just start with a simple question? How does Chinese medicine view osteoporosis? Because it's different than how we look at it in the Western world.
And I have to start from the very beginning. In Chinese medicine, how the organs work is different than how they work in Western medicine. And each organ has physical functions that are different than what we know them to be, and they have emotional and spiritual functions as well. And the kidneys are basically the organ that rules the bones, and to some extent that's similar in Western medicine, actually, because in Western medicine, the kidneys regulate certain body functions. They have their own hormone production, and they also do erythropoietin, which is produced in the bones. And so to some degree, it's kind of similar. So I'll give you a whole picture of what the kidneys do from the Chinese perspective, and then we can talk about bones. So they regulate the overall sense of having energy, big transitions in life, the emotion of fear, your low back, your knees, your bones, and your physical brain, and your hearing. And the time of year of the kidneys is the winter. And so they have all kinds of different functions. And of course, they also actually regulate the fluid balance in the body, which is the same as it does in Western medicine. So, and the kidneys are considered to be a yin organ, and the urinary bladder is yang organ, and those two organs are paired, and so their functions go together. So how the kidneys regulate the bone is just like throughout you're born with a certain amount of energy, which is similar to what we think about our genetics. You're born with a certain amount of energy, and that energy is called your essence, or Jing, and that is also connected to your kidneys. So your kidneys are sort of the powerhouse of your whole body. And they give you the energy that you get throughout your life. And then in Chinese lore, we talk about how you spend your energy. So you get given a certain amount of energy. Let's say you're given this much energy. How you spend that and how you replenish it is how healthy you get to be. And so your bone health is connected to also how you live your life to some degree. So you get a certain amount of essence, and then if you deplete that essence, or you don't nourish yourself properly, or you don't get the proper rest or whatever, then that depletes that energy, and then that contributes to bone health issues.
So that's so interesting, because then in terms of what we can do from a Chinese medicine perspective, then by replenishing, doing things for the kidney energy is going to be helpful for our bones. And I think that's something, I don't think most people think, oh, my kidney energy, I have osteoporosis, my kidney energy may be depleted. What can I do?
Right. Yeah. And that's something you want to think about early. Especially if you have a family history of something, you want to think about your essence or your energy levels early in your life, and you want to take steps to protect them and to take care of them. I'm from the generation of women who are just starting, like I went into surgical residency, and this is in the 80s, and this is when women were just starting to get to be like men, I guess, like you do things like men. And so we would burn ourselves out. We would work 100 hours a week, and we would do all of this, hammering at our bodies, which depletes the kidney energy. And I don't know if that makes osteoporosis more common, but for us, I don't know. But definitely taking care of yourself at a young age is a good idea.
Why don't we delve into this a little more in terms of what steps, like everyone's listening here. Okay, what can I do? Can we go through some practices, some things we can do for kidney energy that would be beneficial for our bones?
It's very simple, really. It's it's all the things that we always talk about for good health. So you get enough sleep, you get enough rest. Actually, in Chinese medicine, they say not too much sex. Too much sex burns your essence. Women don't tend to do that as much as men tend to, but overdoing those kinds of things also burn out your energy. Working too hard, eating too much food, not eating enough food, so like eating the wrong food. So all of those things it's all about balance, and it's about living your life in balance. And actually in the exercise world, because in our understanding of taking care of osteoporosis, lifting weights is an important component to building strength, not just of your muscles, but also for your bones. And again, that's something that's better started early, but also helps as you get older. But again, when you lift weights, it's not about overdoing it. It's about a moderate amount. And it's always about finding that balance. So one of the things that I teach my patients and that I encourage people to do is really to work on listening to your body and learning to find the right balance of those things. Like how much sleep does your body need? In the West, we say you need 8 hours, but not everybody needs 8 hours. Some people need less. Some people need 10 hours, So what's the right amount of sleep? What's the right pattern of sleep? How do you listen to your body and how do you tune into that? And, Qigong or Tai Chi or something like that really are good for the kidneys, especially, for building your energy. So gentle kinds of exercise incorporated in with other kinds of exercise that you've probably had people talk about, but Tai Chi or Qigong are really helpful. And there's one exercise that I like to teach all my people as they're getting older or if they have fatigue issues, and that is to rub the back of where your kidneys are, which is kind of just above your very low back. I'm going to try to show you.
Show us this,
I'm
because
sitting.
this is a great thing, Dr. Shiroko.
Yeah, right here.
This is fantastic for everybody, and it's easy to do.
It's very easy to do. Yeah, like right here, you rub here in a circular way.
Does it matter what direction?
Well, you come in from the middle or come out from the middle like this. And this is where your kidneys and your adrenals are. And it seems so simple, but it makes a lot of difference in giving energy. And there's in the Qigong tradition, you have to do things in certain sets of numbers. So 49, 7 times 7 is a good number to do. And you can also do this thing where you tap the backs of your legs. You tap from your kidneys down the backs of your legs.
Can you show us that too? Even just a little piece you can show us? Because I think I love these practices. And these are things that make big differences, but yet are powerful and easy.
Yeah. So you can go like this. And you go down the backs of your legs. It was hard to do because I'm standing.
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. That was good
and
enough.
Then up the inside of your legs like that. So you go down the back and up the inside. And that's where all the meridians are that are connected to the kidneys and the urinary bladder. And that helps. It actually helps all of the organs that are in the legs. And you can also do it for your arms if you want to really just be total body health.
Yeah.
Pound your chest like a good gorilla. And then go down the inside of your arms and up the back of your arms, up into your shoulders. And I do a pattern of 3, down 3 times, up 3 times, up and down, and then up here. And it's so simple, takes seconds, like less than a minute, most likely, but it can balance all of the energy of all of the meridians. And if you do it with this sort of energy of loving yourself, then it adds to it in a positive way. And it's like the key with kidneys is to be balanced and to work with all of your organs, not just your kidneys, but to keep everything in a balanced way. And that gives your bones that support.
Wow, I love these practices. So I just want to clarify because you said we want to balance. So we don't want to overdo. So how many, I mean, I think what a great thing. You're sitting, you're working on your computer, whatever you're doing, just to take a break and to wake up. And so the chi is the same as what you're referring to as essence. And as people call it different things in different, but to wake up your essence and to, so how many times is there, I mean, I guess each person's different, but what is your basic recommendation for someone trying it? Would you do it a few times a day?
Twice a day.
Twice a
Twice a day.
day.
And now, yeah, I always think about people as being very busy in our culture. And so we don't have a lot of time to do a lot of things. This takes seconds, or maybe a minute. If you do that whole thing of 49 times massaging your kidneys and tap, tap, tap up and tap, tap, tap back down.
So the 49 is at one time you do the 49. Saying
you just do it one time. Yeah. And then like, if you want to do it before bed, it might help relax your organs and help you get to sleep as well. So in the morning, first thing when you wake up, it gets you energy. It gives you a little energized sense. And then at night before you go to sleep, it can do the same thing in the opposite direction, kind of calm the system down and help you get to sleep.
Oh, that's amazing. That's, it's these easy practices that are so powerful. But what I love that you did to add the love in and infuse the love and put the intention with that makes it even so much more powerful. That's fabulous. Do you have a certain saying that you do, or each person does their own thing?
I think everybody can do their own thing. I like to, for me, humor is a great way to do life, and humor brings joy, and it brings the happy hormones, right? So when you laugh and you have a sense of humor about something, then you bring joy to yourself, and that helps build your energy. It helps you stay young. It helps you. Do you know about oxytocin?
Absolutely, but why don't you tell everybody about that? That's
my favorite hormone.
My favorite hormone too. It's my favorite.
Well, oxytocin is the love hormone, right? It's the hormone of bonding. So when you fall in love with someone, or you have a baby, or you enjoy life, you are full of oxytocin. When you're traumatized, or when you're, extremely, as you get older, your kidneys start producing more cortisol, and cortisol is sort of the opposite of oxytocin. And so when you have too much cortisol, that is another thing that drains your bones, because you need to use extra nutrients in order to run the cortisol and run your blood sugar and all of those things. And so when you're happy and you're enjoying life and you're laughing, all these are all ways to increase your oxytocin.
So it's interesting, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, get your friends, at certain time, let's all, or
get on Zoom.
Or not even on Zoom, it's just, or community, when you're together, that, that's the oxytocin will start going, but you can all do this together. So then you're getting like a double dose if everybody does it together. But I love that. I think that's such a wonderful, wonderful practice. And so, okay, so let's continue for some other things that can increase the, the kidney energy, or other things that we can do for our bones. So the exercise, I just wanted to mention one more thing about Qigong and Tai Chi has been shown to be amazing. It's one of the best balanced exercises, and they've studied this, comparing it to different machines and different things. So it's such a win-win in terms of what can be accomplished with the, with Qigong. So it's really quite amazing.
Yes. So the kidney also rules your physical brain, and everything is regulated from your physical brain, right? And the kidneys also, when you think about it, that when I said overall sense of having energy and big transitions in life, so kidneys rule menopause, and they rule puberty and big transitions. I always think, like if you move across the country, or you get divorced or something like that, that the kidneys also oversee that. And so those are big stresses that your body goes through. And so taking care of yourself during times of big transitions is also very helpful to support your bones. And it's all about, so the bones are really the support structure for our bodies, right? So there's another element to this, because we talk about fear as the emotion that the kidneys are connected to, right? So if you have a lot of fear about something, of getting older or of living your life or whatever it is, and I've certainly experienced those fears myself, then you're more prone to create cortisol. So I'm kind of switching between Chinese and Western medicine because that's what I do all day.
Love it.
Um, but they go together, so this is why I love this you bring these two things together and you have triple the power of healing that you could have. So when you take care of your kidneys on many levels, so when you're going through menopause, to keep yourself balanced. So this is one of those things where if you take herbs to support yourself through menopause, or you take even bioidentical hormones, if that's what your body needs, that your body is supported through a time of big transition, then that is better for you. It's better for your brain. It's better for your adrenals. It's better for your bones. Everything goes together. So that's another thing. One of the things that I witness in my women who've been through menopause is that it's very interesting, but they start to make more cortisol, and that's not something that I've seen people talk about very much. But it seems that as we get older after menopause, that we tend to produce more cortisol. So we have to work almost harder not to have cortisol run our energies. So like to meditate or calm ourselves down in more active ways in order to stay centered so that cortisol doesn't keep going up.
That's so interesting because we talk a lot about this on the summit, and cortisol, they've done studies really showing how increased cortisol reduces bone density and reduces the osteoblast, the bone building cells. So this is something so important that oftentimes is just, people don't realize how critical this piece is to the puzzle. But that's an interesting concept that after menopause, it's even more important to be doing these practices and to find how, that this is equally as important as everything else you're doing in terms of the exercise, in terms of the food. So, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, my body since my mid 40s, my body has not allowed me to do really high intensity, hardcore exercise. And I think that type of exercise as we get older tends to increase cortisol, because I've studied this in the women who are going through perimenopause. If I measure their hormones, their cortisol levels are higher if they do this high intensity, heavy duty exercise. That makes them more prone to bone loss. And so actually overdoing too much exercise, again, this is one of those things in the whole Chinese lifestyle thing, is everything in moderation. Well, so exercise too, and you want to balance hard intensity. And the science now shows that the HIIT exercise, which is high intensity interval training, which is very short bursts of high intensity, because if you keep up the high intensity for too long, you burn out your adrenals or you'll get high cortisol levels. And that's so much more important as you're going through that hormonal transition of perimenopause. Because it's so easy to go off into the high cortisol levels, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I guess that's a really good point, because that is, as a physical therapist, and the research shows that's what's really building strength. So but it's not a lot. It's not a lot of repetitions. It's, 10 repetitions. So it's small amount of repetitions at that higher intensity. So the key here, as you mentioned, is the balance, to make sure you're doing all the other things so that doesn't, push you over the edge. Yeah, that's such
Exactly. Yeah.
Can we talk more about, is there a food that's healthy for the kidneys? What else can be
Yes. Oh my
nourishing
gosh.
this
Another one of my favorite
this
subjects.
kidney? And
Yeah.
if we know the kidney energy, again, it's not something people think about with osteoporosis, but as you said, and I love the way that you, as a medical doctor, that you can combine the best of Chinese medicine and traditional medicine to what works. That's just such a fabulous combination. But let's talk about the food, because oftentimes that's just something from a Chinese medicine perspective. What food nourishes our kidneys?
So the kidneys, the color is black. And so like if somebody has dark circles under their eyes, that's a sign that they may be in a depleted state. Like black circles under their eyes, that's a sign of low kidney energy. Also, ringing in your ears is another symptom of kidney depletion. And one of the things I love about Chinese medicine is that knowing all these things like low back, knees, bones, overall sense of having energy. So if you feel tired all the time, or you have knee pain or low back pain, that might indicate that you're depleted in your kidney energy. And those are all things that they're kind of maybe earlier signs than seeing, if you get a broken bone, so you can actually intervene in your own healthcare by understanding your body from that perspective, which is one of the things that I talk about in my book in terms of how to listen to your body using Chinese medicine. Um, but the foods are so the flavor that the kidney likes is salt, which makes sense because it regulates our salt levels in our bodies on a Western level. And the color is black, so black foods. And so seafood, actually, although in our world now, when the oceans are so polluted, it's really hard for me to say eat seafood. But some seafoods have that kidney building support energy. Black sesame seeds. One of the things that I loved, which really makes a huge difference, is a tiny little bean called an aduki bean, Aduki, aduki beans. And they are black. They're little beans that are black and they cook really easily and they're delicious, but they're really good for your kidney energy. And so I tell people to make like a porridge with those kind of beans and then have it a couple of times a week. And it supports your hormones and all kinds of things. Salt, of course. So using really high quality salt on your food, not over salting, but using salt will help balance kidneys. And if you find yourself craving salt, that's another clue that your kidneys want some love. So, like they want some support. And, people who tend to have very low blood pressure, I actually tell them to drink salt water every day in order to support their kidneys to help bring up their blood pressure. So, let's see.
Can I ask you a question about the salt?
Yeah.
Is it sea
Uh-huh.
salt? Is there when you're saying high quality? Can you just be more
Yeah,
specific?
sea salt or the Himalayan pink salt, if you can get it without plastic in it. So many pollutants. Or there's salt from some of the lakes, like Salt Lake has a salt company called Real Salt, and that I love that salt. That's a really good one. Um, and you just don't want to use like iodized salt or like is it Morton's? I think it's Morton's salt. Like they put sugar in the salt, so you want to make sure that it's a salt that doesn't have other things added to it in order to make it flow, from a box or something. So yeah, um, uh, things like so black radish is another black food that is particularly good for the kidneys.
Where do you get a black radish?
Oh, you can get it even at Whole Foods or
And that's what it's called, a black radish? That's so
yeah, it's
interesting.
black radish. It's literally black on the outside, but it's white on the inside, and you can grate it and put it into foods. It doesn't have a really
Oh,
super strong taste. Yeah.
fantastic.
Um, there are certain mushrooms like reishi mushrooms and maitake mushrooms that are really good for the kidneys. I can't remember if there's a black mushrooms that's particularly good. Oh yeah, I think there is. There's the have you ever had hot and sour soup and they put these
Yes.
really thin little mushrooms that grow on trees? They're wood ear mushrooms. Those are really good.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that's really fun to do is to like there's books on cooking according to Chinese medicine, but you could go look at some of that and make a porridge or a winter stew that has some of these herbs in it, and then it's supportive. Like you put the aduki beans and some of the mushrooms and some salt and maybe even a little bit of seafood, like some clams or mussels. Mussels are black, so they're really good for your kidneys. So things like that are wonderful to have, and to think about. And it's not again, it's so fairly easy to take care of your body in a way that's not obsessive. It's more gentle and more supportive of how you live your life. So, if you plan your food in advance, you can have a stew sitting there and make it ready and eat it gently. And what I'm trying to say is that it's not about being super intense, you know, like it's a gentle approach to your body, and it's a way of loving your body that helps you build your bones and build your energy and support yourself, especially as you're getting older.
Oh, I love this. As a person who teaches happiness, this is just so fabulous, everything you're
Yeah.
saying.
Perfect combination, Chinese
Yeah,
medicine and happiness.
yeah. So in terms of being a practitioner who, integrates all of these in acupuncture, what tools do you use? So someone who's listening thinks, oh, you know what? Maybe my kidney energy is depleted. So what types of tools do you use when you see someone?
Oh, I do all kinds of things. So I feel the pulse on both wrists.
And now, can I ask you a
And
question about that? Because
yeah,
oftentimes, and it's interesting because this just happened with a family member that, I've seen Chinese medicine practitioner and and get acupuncture on a regular basis, actually, and they always feel the pulse, very important. But yet there are a lot of practitioners that don't feel the pulse, that just put in the needles. Is that something like a warning sign, or do we want to, can you just explain that?
well, different people read bodies in different ways. So it depends on who the practitioner is. Because I look at the pulse, I feel, or I look at the tongue, I feel the pulse, but I also feel the belly and the feet and the hands sometimes. So there are points on the hands and feet that indicate certain things. There are points on the belly. I do a Japanese style of acupuncture created by a woman named Kiko Matsumoto. And her style is really amazing. It's like almost miraculous results. Like within seconds, you'll feel a difference. And so there are
Wow.
certain points on the belly that I can feel that will tell me about the kidneys. And there's a point, there's actually some points that are more deep than kidney energy called the dantian, where you can, when you support that using acupuncture or acupressure, you can help strengthen even deeper than the kidneys. So I feel all of these things in the pulse. It's not just what it feels like, but not how fast it is, but what it feels like. And each position, there's 3 positions on each wrist, tells me about different organs. And it's the energy, and again, it gives a clue as to what's happening with the energy. But also in that style of acupuncture, which may be what that person is practicing, feeling the pulse is really not as important as feeling the belly. Because in the belly, there's a clue to the whole strength of the being and the essence and what's happening there. So um, every acupuncturist has a different way of reading the body. And
Got it.
some people just put needles in because you've already told them, like they've listened really closely. And if there's a certain pattern that has emerged, then they go according to what they see as the pattern. And that's another thing to keep in mind. In Chinese medicine, we don't think about the diagnosis of osteoporosis. We think about what's happening energetically to your body and how do I help you be balanced.
That makes tremendous sense. And it's another way, right? People don't even think that to balance the body, then things fall in place, and it really helps not only your bones, but every organ system in your body. So it's great. So before we end, because we could talk, there's so many things that we could talk about, but well, before we end, is there any last minute thing you want to say to everybody or you want to leave people with?
Well, I think the most important thing is really that whatever you do in relation to your body and your life is you think of your body as your home. And and the place where your spirit lives. And so you want to treat it well and you want to love it. And, the first chapter in my book, the first of the 7 keys is love, because love is the most healing power of the universe. And so think about, instead of being betrayed by your body or angry because something is going on that you don't understand, think about it as your journey to understand yourself better and using it as a tool to teach you how to listen and be kind to yourself. So those are my words.
They're actually quite profound. So Dr. Shiroko, how can people learn more about you?
So my website, you could type in Shiroko Sokitch and you'll find me, because there's not very many with my name.
But you want to just give your website anyway? Just maybe say it out. So for people listening, we'll have it also. But
my business is heart2heartmedicalcenter.com.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being with us today and for sharing all of this really incredible information. And for everybody listening, thank you for being here today. And if you value this information, please share it with a friend. And just remember to take care of your bones, because happy bones create a happy life.